Oh, another win for Arsenal. And we seriously need to talk about this because when I look at Arsenal, I'm not judging them off what they do in the big games. I'm judging Arsenal this season in the games versus Fulham, Newcastle, low blocks like Nuno's team, to see if this is a different Arsenal side. Because they dropped points to Fulham last season. And it wasn't the prettiest or most interesting game from Arsenal, but they've beaten Fulham. They've beaten a new low block versus West Ham. They were 1-0 down to Newcastle and they won that game. They've conceded 3 goals in 9 games. This is league-winning mentality from Arsenal. It's early days, but that defence, Gabriel is becoming a huge problem, just so good in that defence. Saliba, fantastic. Gabriel contributing going forward, most goal contributions of any defender lately. We're going to talk about Arsenal. We're going to talk about Saka, how good he is. We're going to talk about Gabriel. We're going to talk about the defence. We're going to talk about everything. That 1-0 win versus Fulham, which, again, wasn't the most exciting or brilliant game in the world, but Arsenal did enough to win the game, and Fulham couldn't get a sniff on goal. How many games have Arsenal played this season where the opposition just cannot get a sniff on goal? Even the Man United game, you weren't great against us, but you beat us 1-0 because we couldn't get a sniff on goal. We couldn't. You went 1-0 up, bit of luck with the goalkeeper, but that's what happens. And I want to talk about it because there's narratives around Arsenal being boring, this and that, and I want to talk about why football fans are wrong about Arsenal. I want to talk about this winning mentality from Arsenal, and why, as a Man United fan, I'm a little bit concerned.
They're actually going to do it, aren't they? Arsenal are going to win the Premier League this season. That is my prediction. 3 goals conceded in 11 games. West Ham and Fulham, these were the 2 games that Arsenal needed to win to make me look at them differently to the Arsenal team we saw last season. Forget the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Spurs, the Cities and the United. These are the teams that Arsenal have done really well against in recent years. Last year, Raul Jimenez equalises against Arsenal in a 1-1 draw. Last year, David Moyes with West Ham beats Arsenal in the League Cup and in the Premier League. This year is a different Arsenal. This year, I am looking at Gabriel and Saliba. I don't care what anyone says anymore. I'm not hearing it. Gabriel and Saliba, the best centre-back pairing in European football right now. And that might be a bold claim. You've got Rudiger, Militao, you've got Bastoni, you've got an unbelievable centre-back partnership at Bayern Munich that have only conceded 3 goals. I don't care. This Arsenal centre-back pairing and the fact that they've had 10 different goal scorers this season. No Odegaard today, no problem. No Madueke today, no problem. No Ben White, no Piero Nkapie. They're missing key players and they're still winning games. Who cares if they scored off a set piece? I'm not buying into that narrative because that was a narrative 15, 18, 24 months ago. Now who's saying anything about them? They are a team right now that are playing like champions.
Right, another win for Arsenal. Big 3 points, huge win. Arsenal fans, you should be buzzing. And I'm going to tell you why. And if you're watching this, you probably are. I'm not going to really look to pinpoint or nitpick or anything along them lines, but you got to see the result for what it is. Now, smash the likes if you want to hear what I'm going to say. Maybe you want to skip a couple minutes or not. Subscribe if you're brand new. I do a lot of these breakdowns, depending pretty much if I feel like a team's deserved or played well. Anyways, let's get straight into it. First half, a lot may say it's boring, but if I'm being totally honest, right, I didn't find it boring. I thought it was actually quite a good tactical battle. My overall thoughts with the whole Fulham game, realistically, was they played a super low block. They didn't try to hurt Arsenal in any way. They thought they could counter-attack and get something from there, but they couldn't. Thanks to Zubimendi, especially thanks to Zubimendi and Gabriel. And, of course, Timber. The biggest threat was Calafiori. You know, he had a couple chances, scored an offside goal, and Arsenal just couldn't really break down this Fulham low block or super low block. They were camped in very much so in their 4-4-2 as they do. And you know what? They defended really well. can't knock them for defending well, but they were playing some haram ball, as some may say. And Arsenal have been coming up against that a little bit too much this season already. So getting used to different things. There were some non-existent players. There were some players that could play a lot better. But the only criticism I have of that first half, funny enough, ironic because he scored, Trossard was pretty much rubbish. Yeah. And also Eze just didn't want to find his way in or look like he was even in the mood to play today. That's how it came across. But the ball was getting moved a little bit too slow, a little bit lethargic, and Arsenal bet their winnings on crosses didn't pay off, and corners. And you know what? Leno done really well with claiming crosses or punching them out and making sure that Arsenal didn't do what they typically do and obviously get set pieces on the books. And you know what? I always had this thought in mind, and I thought it just smells like an Arsenal win. Things are too much in cruise control for them. I didn't feel like or sense any kind of wave of, morale.
Arsenal 1, Fulham 0. These are the kind of wins that get you towards winning the Premier League title. Craven Cottage away. Marco Silva sets Fulham up to be very hard to beat. And to beat Fulham 1-0, it's the kind of result we criticised Arteta for in previous seasons, that he didn't have the squad maybe to get over the line and get these kind of wins, maybe a few draws. Maybe this was drop points a few seasons ago. But Arsenal have got this physical dominance. They've got a belief, a mentality, and a rich, dynamic squad that gets them over the line in big games. And in the next few fixtures, I really feel that Arsenal can kick into second gear and get a massive lead in the Premier League title race if City and Liverpool don't get maximum points, which could happen because they both got difficult games coming up. We have to talk about all the goals. Obviously, one of them from Trossard. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. The first half was decent from Arsenal. They weren't at their scintillating best. Viktor Gyökeres had a chance near post, one of his only touches in the first half. He looked like an isolated figure, but the big thing about Viktor Gyökeres is he is creating space for a lot of players. Saka had a brief opportunity in the first half, Trossard as well. So Gyökeres is creating small pockets, small openings for other players. And it was in the second half where really Arsenal's physical dominance gets them into a winning position. Again, it's going back to the set pieces. Again, it's going back to this kind of idea of Route 1 football, but it's getting Arsenal over the line. They've got this clarity of vision of when this corner comes, whether it's the 88th minute, whether it's 12 minutes into a game, it's the same high quality distribution. And you have to say Saka's ball in. Gabriel, who I thought again was absolutely outstanding in the game, another clean sheet. He had a bit of a rocky start in the first half, gave the ball away, nearly led to a Fulham kind of opportunity to score. But after the 20th minute, he was absolutely imperious. And he actually rises bigger than everyone else to get that flick on into Trossard, who kind of thighs it into the net. There was something very strange about Fulham in this game. Marco Silva was absolutely livid. These are the kind of games, Saturday night, under the lights, Sky Sports, at Craven Cottage.
Arsenal beat Fulham 1-0 and they've done it again. And I tell you what's out again. Boring Arsenal. I'm old enough to remember the days of George Graham at Arsenal in the early 90s. They won titles. They were very boring to watch. Clean sheets, 1-0 wins. I remember whether it was a UEFA Cup run or a Cup Winners' Cup run where they won it. and they were ridiculously boring. Are Arsenal going back to those days? Well, if they are, they might be going back to winning titles. And I think that as much as people will say Arsenal are boring, the only thing that matters, and I'm sure there'll be people having a pop at Gyökeres, there'll be people having a pop at Arsenal, Stoke FC, Set Piece FC, etc., etc. The fact remains they're the sort of games you have to go and win if you want to win a league title. They're 3 points top. They've got 19 points. They're top of the league and they've played some difficult games already. And maybe that's going to boil piss and annoy people, but who's going to stop them? That's the challenge. Fulham, I don't think they had a shot on target in 90 minutes. The challenge is for everybody else. They've got a strong defence. They're capable of scoring goals from set pieces and they've got a very big squad. And at the moment, Arsenal are looking a very big force in this Premier League. And yeah, you're going to moan about it, I think the people who shouldn't moan about it though are Arsenal fans. I've seen Arsenal fans moaning about it, saying we're really, really boring. I mean, come on. As a United fan, I'll take that every bloody day of the week. I don't mind if people are taking a pop at my striker. I don't mind if people are moaning about how boring we are. If I'm top of the league and I want to win the league, that's all that matters. And I think for Arsenal, they have the capabilities of playing good football, but let's be fair, Fulham parked the bus for an hour.